It is final in Golden State. It is a final for the NBA Finals in the NBA season. Toronto Raptors are winners of Game 6 and winners of the championship of basketball.
It's the first time that Toronto has won an NBA championship, and as you might imagine, the party's already started there in Jurassic Park. The fans standing outside the arena watching on television, and they are excited about what happened in the Bay. Unfortunate end for the Golden State Warriors. In addition to Kevin Durant going down in Game 5, Klay Thompson leaves this game with a knee injury, but nonetheless, it will be remembered as the Raptors winning their first ever championship, led, of course, by Kawhi Leonard, who came over in an offseason trade. DeMar DeRozan going to the Spurs. Kawhi Leonard, former Finals MVP in San Antonio, now wins a championship with the Raptors. The only question is, will he be there next season, or will he be playing for another team? But yeah, there's your guy. You couldn't lock him down. Drake is in the building, and he's already drinking the champagne. The party in the 6 is on. Tim Legler joins us now here in studio on SportsCenter. And, you know, Tim, you and I were talking a little bit earlier during the game what a range of emotion we've seen in this series. But in this game in particular, with the Warriors making a run, Kawhi doing his thing, Kyle Lowry had a great run, and Klay Thompson gets hurt. I mean, as you sit here and kind of put this whole thing together now, how do you describe what we saw?
I almost can't really even describe what I just witnessed. I mean, if you saw the notebook that I just had in my lap, and then what I was writing on these pages, frantically writing it down, I guess what it comes down to for me is this. At the end of the day, the Toronto Raptors, when you take the 6 games in this series, I think it's 288 minutes, they thoroughly outplayed the Golden State Warriors. They were the better team. They were the better team for a vast majority of those minutes. Okay. It's just sheer heart, determination, you know, patchwork lineups that kept Golden State in, and some incredible shooting by, you know, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry at times. They really didn't have any reason to be in a one-possession game and a shot to win this game down 3-2, potentially to force a 7 game on Sunday, right, based on what they've been through physically and just based on the way the Toronto Raptors played in this series. How fitting it was, the last vision we will have of this series is Kawhi Leonard stepping up and knocking down 2 free throws. Yeah. Because to me, that was the automatic from this entire postseason. That guy goes to the line, he's icing you down. He obviously was the dominant player, one of the best postseason runs we have ever seen. Yeah. And he caps it off with the ball in his hands to get those last 2 free throws as the dagger points. To me, very fitting way for Toronto to end their season.
I mean, and this is a guy who they were in Game 7 against Philly. Then they lose the first 2 against Milwaukee. You don't even know they're going to get here. Right. And lo and behold, they are now, the championship is in Canada. Show you how it was done in the final game at Oracle. Certainly not how Golden State wanted to go out, but eventually both sides on this one. And then again, up in Toronto, we have Michelle Steele in Toronto. We'll get to her momentarily, but a big doing in the NBA. Raptors are the champs. Yeah, the Raptors, the 6th team in NBA history to face the defending NBA champion in their first trip to the NBA Finals, and they joined the 1948 Washington Bullets as the only teams to win that series. Raptors' first NBA championship. As mentioned, Michelle Steele is covering people watching basketball in Toronto tonight. I don't know if she was up there in the suite with Drake with the Cristal, but anyway, if you could. Hey, what's new in Canada tonight, Michelle?
Not much, John. Just your average Thursday night of people losing their minds in the streets of Toronto and 50 other cities in Canada that are hosting Jurassic Parks like the one tonight. The people behind me have waited in rain and in wind and in cold. I'll let them have that word for hours. And nobody is going home, John. This crowd, absolutely euphoric, ecstatic. You know, and one of maybe the stranger endings in recent memory for an NBA championship game, it was quiet here, as you can imagine, and then all of a sudden, one person started yelling 6 and 6. And the entire crowd, and as we know, Toronto is called the 6. The entire crowd slowly but surely joined in before thousands of people were yelling 6 and 6. And that's what we saw tonight. Just an incredible display of unity, joy, happiness. And what can I say, John? There's a new king in the north, and not many people are going to get much sleep tonight Not the least of them is Drake, who is still on the stage behind me. Pretty cool night for everybody.
Absolutely, as you mentioned, it's a Toronto championship, but shared by all of Canada. Michelle Steele, thank you for your time. Good stuff. Be safe. Enjoy the revelry. Go have fun. You're off the clock now.
I'll see if Drake will give me some champagne.
She better end up at that after party. That's all I know. If she's a real reporter, Michelle still better end up at that after party. Tim Legler's still with us here on SportsCenter. With Kevin Durant only being able to play about 11 minutes in this entire series, and then unfortunately Klay Thompson going down tonight, you knew that Steph Curry is going to carry a lot of the burden for that offense. But what we saw tonight was some good defense on Steph by the Raptors and some poor defense at the other end by the Warriors.
Yeah, and I mentioned a turning point. I felt this was a critical stretch here because Steph Curry actually comes off this first screen. Looks like he's going to have a clean look. It's a great reaction by Marc Gasol. But again, it's the attrition of what the toll physically that was taken on this team and who's on the floor at the time.
Right.
So here you get Looney come down and set this screen. Curry's going to come down to this area, and it's actually one of the few times that Curry's man is actually screened. Fred VanVleet is stone cold stop. There's no way he's going to get out here and recover. But take a look at the reaction by Marc Gasol. Now, part of this is because he realizes he's not worried about Kevon Looney. You know, on the other side of the floor, you got a non-shooter in Iguodala, so Kawhi Leonard could be off the ball. Lowry's not all that concerned about Quinn Cook. They're just not worried about it. They're worried about one guy. And so when you get that level contest right there, I mean, that's hand on hand. He forces even an extra arc for Steph Curry. You get the miss. And right out of that, this is what Toronto gets on the other end. Critical mistake right here. Comes off. You can see right now, Draymond Green is up. And so that tells Quinn Cook, he thinks now on this slip by Siakam, he thinks he's going to run down the lane and take away this drop-off pass. But watch what happens to Draymond Green. As VanVleet comes off, he stunts, but then Draymond Green sinks. So now you get both defenders back in the lane on Pascal Siakam. And look at all the room for Fred VanVleet. Critical stretch. You cannot say enough about the way Fred VanVleet played, not only in this series, the way he turned his postseason around after the way he started. It was at a point where I was surprised Nick Nurse was still playing him earlier in the playoffs because he had lost all confidence. Way to turn it around and come through in a huge way. But for me, that's a key 6-point swing, 4 minutes to go. Curry hits that and they defend that well. Might be a different story.
Absolutely.
Might be a different outcome.
Yeah, that's just Nick Nurse basketball. The other thing is, right, they got second chance after second chance. And it wasn't just like 1 second chance. They had possessions where they had 3 and 4 bites of that apple.
Yeah, and look, this is what Golden State runs into. They play smaller lineups, we know that, but these weren't even their normal smaller lineups. You don't have Klay Thompson on the floor. You don't have Kevin Durant on the floor. They're guys that can go rebound their positions well, and it was a key stretch here in the fourth quarter. You know, they get these putbacks right here. This is just big boy ball. Siakam just goes above Andre Iguodala, gets a tip, gets his hand on it, kick out. That leads to 3 free throws. VanVleet knocks all 3 down. You get a tie game. Here's another one. Nice contest by Boogie Cousins. And again, Siakam and Ibaka just throwing people around under the rim. Serge Ibaka gets the putback, and this one was critical. 4-point game. That's a 22-foot rebound that Siakam runs down. And ultimately, you're going to end up, I think this is the one that Kyle Lowry hits this fadeaway on that gets the lucky bounce. But this is all set up by the key rebound off a missed 3-point shot where Golden State sort of breaks down mentally and Toronto beats them to the ball. That was a team that smelled chum in the water, and they run that rebound down because they realize you score in that possession, it's just going to be too much for Golden State to overcome.
As you said earlier, Kawhi was phenomenal in this entire series. Kyle Lowry had some good games. Siakam had a game. They put together a very good effort, and they should deserve all the credit for taking down the champs. However, in the Bay Area, this series will be remembered by who didn't play. Of course, Kevin Durant only played 11 minutes. And then in this game, Klay Thompson goes down with an unfortunate knee injury. You touched on it a little bit earlier, but let's show the video again to the people at home who may haven't seen it, exactly what happened to Klay Thompson on this play.
Yeah, you know, Steph Curry gets the steal, throws it ahead to Klay, and he's got the angle on Danny Green. But how many times I've seen Klay Thompson with 6'7" height take that thing under the defender to the opposite side of the rim and shoot that reverse layup. For some reason, in this particular case, now Danny Green is pretty good at tracking you and blocking shots at the rim for a guard. We've seen him do it multiple times, even in the playoffs. That's probably what Klay was thinking. He goes to dunk it, but when he takes both hands above his head, Mike, and he gets bumped from behind, it's just enough to knock you off balance that you're not in control to absorb that landing the way you should with both quads. And instead, that knee, you could see it buckle. You know, I had some hope when he went back and you saw him running in the hallway and he was jumping a little bit. I had some hope. As a guy that's had a lot of knee injuries myself, I said, well, maybe it's not the meniscus then. Because at first I was worried about some meniscus. But then you see there, and this is when we knew you're not going to see Klay Thompson, and we obviously don't have any idea the extent of this injury. But look what they're left with. Some part of me thought, is this just the attrition of a 5-year run of all these playoff games, right? And all this pressure and all the physicality.
Playing deep into June for 5 straight years.
Think about it, 5 years in a row. And you get some of these fluky type injuries that happen to you because your body is worn down. And it's such a shame for him. Klay Thompson was playing out of his mind. I mean, I was at the point I'm thinking, if they come back and win this series, Klay Thompson might win the Finals MVP, and Steph Curry might have 4 rings without a Finals MVP. If Klay Thompson comes in and steals it, that's how well he has played and maybe potentially salvaging this, but obviously they ran out of gas.
And also for Klay Thompson, free agent year coming up this summer, and now he has this injury just the way that Kevin Durant did. Unfortunate in several aspects.
MVP award goes to Kawhi Leonard, also available if needed.
Yes.
But I'm not sure anybody had a better week or a better couple of weeks than Fred Van Vliet. Right? Wheat shocker, go for that. Right? He is little Fred, got the baby.
New baby who
and
dis.
now I got a championship ring. That's good stuff. I feel like he should talk to Doris Burke or something.